Welcome to Digest Discussions, where every episode brings the pages of knowledge to life. Dive deep with us into the heart of academic excellence, where the latest blog posts from Doctoral Digest aren't just read, they're explored, questioned, and expanded. In this podcast, we peel back the layers of complex topics, offering doctoral candidates and scholarly enthusiasts a seat at our roundtable of innovation, where we guide new doctoral students and dissertation warriors through the often confusing world of academics.
So today we're diving into something that I think every doctoral student struggles with at some point. Creating that perfect research timeline. I remember when I first started my PhD journey, I had this massive wall of sticky notes that was supposed to be my timeline, and it just looked like organized chaos.
Oh, I can relate to that. Mine was a spreadsheet with about 47 different tabs that I never looked at after the first week. But seriously, this article from Doctoral Digest really breaks down something crucial, that a well-structured timeline can actually transform that overwhelming feeling into clarity. And I think the key word there is well-structured, because we've all made timelines that didn't quite work out.
Absolutely. What really struck me about this piece is how it starts with comprehensive scheduling. They break it down into four main components: goals, tasks, deadlines, and resources. It sounds simple when you say it like that, but there's actually a lot of depth to each one.
Right! And I love how they use the roadmap metaphor, because that's exactly what it is. Without it, you're just wandering around academically. But here's what I think is brilliant about their approach. They emphasize breaking down large projects into manageable chunks. They suggest identifying major phases first, then listing specific tasks for each phase.
You know what's interesting about that? It's not just about making things smaller, it's about making them psychologically manageable. When you look at write dissertation, your brain just shuts down. But when you see write introduction paragraph for chapter 3, suddenly that's something you can tackle after your morning coffee.
Exactly. And speaking of coffee, I think we need to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention: celebrating those small victories. The article mentions this, and it's so important. We're so focused on the end goal that we forget to acknowledge when we complete those smaller milestones.
That's such a good point, and it ties into their discussion about realistic deadlines versus tight ones. This is where I think a lot of doctoral students, myself included at one point, really struggle. We think that by setting these impossibly tight deadlines, we're being productive and pushing ourselves.
But what actually happens?
Burnout, mistakes, and honestly, lower quality work. The article makes this great point that when you give yourself ample time, you can actually reflect, revise, and improve your work. It's not about being lazy or procrastinating. It's about being strategic with your time.
And here's something I wish someone had told me earlier. Buffer time isn't optional in academic research. It's essential. The article suggests adding an extra week or two to each phase. And that might sound excessive to some people, but think about all the things that can go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Data collection delays, IRB approval taking longer than expected, your computer crashing the night before a deadline, which definitely never happened to me.
Right, never. But seriously, this brings us to their discussion about contingency planning. They quote Robert Burns: "The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry." And that's particularly true in research. The article suggests conducting actual risk assessments for your research project.
That's fascinating because it's taking a business approach to academic work, identifying potential problems before they arise, having backup plans ready. Like they mention, if your primary data source becomes unavailable, having an alternative ready to go can save your entire project.
And you know what I found really practical? Their suggestion about leveraging resources. They talk about creating what they call a personal board of advisors. It's not just your dissertation committee, it's mentors, peers, even family members who can provide different perspectives and keep you accountable.
That's brilliant because it acknowledges that research isn't a solitary endeavour, even though it often feels that way. And speaking of resources, they emphasise using libraries and online databases effectively. It's surprising how many doctoral students don't take full advantage of the workshops libraries offer on database usage.
That connects to another crucial point they make about networking with fellow researchers. Attending conferences, joining study groups, these aren't just nice-to-haves. They're essential for exchanging ideas and staying motivated. Sometimes the best solution to a research problem comes from a casual conversation with a peer who's facing similar challenges.
Absolutely. And I think what ties all of this together is their emphasis on reflection. They suggest keeping a research journal, which I'll admit I was skeptical about at first. But documenting your journey, the challenges, the breakthroughs, even the failures, it's incredibly valuable.
It's not just about record keeping either. Regular reflection helps you see patterns in your work, understand what strategies work best for you, and honestly, it helps you recognize how much you've actually accomplished when you're feeling stuck.
They suggest periodic reviews, weekly or monthly, where you ask yourself key questions. Are you on track? Have unexpected challenges come up? What adjustments need to be made? It's about being proactive rather than reactive.
And I love that they include Winston Churchill's quote, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." Because that really captures the doctoral journey, doesn't it? It's about persistence and adaptability.
Oh, that quote hits differently when you're in year 3 of what was supposed to be a 2-year project. But you know what's really valuable about this whole approach? It acknowledges that research is rarely a straight path. The article emphasises flexibility, being ready to pivot when new information comes up or when something isn't working.
Right, and that's where having those comprehensive schedules and contingency plans really pays off. When you've thought through potential problems and have alternatives ready, a setback becomes a detour rather than a dead end.
You know what I think is the hidden message in all of this? It's about taking control of your doctoral journey rather than letting it control you. When you have these systems in place, the scheduling, the buffer time, the support network, the reflection practices, you're not just reacting to what happens, you're actively shaping your research experience.
That's such an important mindset shift, and I think for anyone listening who's either starting their doctoral journey or feeling stuck in the middle of it, this framework offers really practical tools. It's not just theoretical advice, it's actionable strategies you can implement today.
Exactly. Start small if you need to. Maybe begin with just mapping out your next month, or identifying one mentor to reach out to, or even just starting that research journal. The point is to begin somewhere and build from there.
And remember, every doctoral student faces these challenges. You're not alone in feeling overwhelmed or uncertain. But with the right planning and support systems in place, that mountain of work really can become a series of manageable hills, just like the article says.
Thanks for joining us for this digest discussion. We're the Academic Renegade crew, reminding you that you are not alone in your doctoral journey. Join us for every episode as we break down the Doctoral Digest's most compelling content, bringing expert commentary, critical analysis, and a touch of scholarly camaraderie right to your ears. This isn't just another academic podcast, it's a community, an idea incubator, and your weekly dose of scholarly innovation all rolled into one.
Tune in to digest discussions and transform the way you engage with academic literature. Let's start the conversation today.